So in this question, we're supposed to evaluate an integral. It looks pretty complicated. U substitution would help us. There's no direct method to know what type of substitution is going to help you solve. You just got to play around with some ideas. So one thing I always think about is that when I substitute something for u, I've got to have du involved. So if I was to just pick as a guess, let's maybe make u equal tangent of x, then the derivative of u would be secant squared x. And I don't have secant squared x in here. So it doesn't look like this substitution is going to help. Maybe I could let u be secant x tangent x. Well, the derivative of that's kind of complicated. I need the power rule because they're two distinct functions of x. The derivative of secant times tangent kept the same. So that would be secant x tangent x. That's the derivative of secant x times tangent x. Plus this function kept the same, secant x times the derivative of tangent x. That'd be secant squared x. The du isn't going to be available there anywhere, so that's not going to work. So let's try one more thing. Let's try, maybe it's just going to be secant x, that thing inside the radical. Well, the derivative of u with respect to x, so the derivative of secant x is secant x tangent x. And oh my goodness, that's what we have right here, right? We've got u, this would be substituted with u, and this would be du. So we've got what we need, we're ready to do the antiderivative. It's a square root of u, and then this is all du. Okay, so remember, that's a 1/2 power. So when you find an antiderivative, the power always goes up by 1, so 1/2 plus 1 makes 3/2. But then we need to multiply by 2/3. That way, when you take a derivative, the 2/3 cancels out with the 3/2. It brings us back to square root of u, which is u to the 1/2 power. And then don't forget your arbitrary constant c, because there's no limits of integration. And then the very last step is just to replace secant x with u. There's our answer. Okay. So with these questions, you've got to just guess for a substitution for u. See if you get du that can also substitute into the problem. Every x should be substituted if we're using u substitution correctly.